Don't do anything with this video, Patreon cat stroller.
Yeah, right.
Cat Patreon and stroller shit.
All right, this is Blind Views. I am here once again, joined by the unibassist. Okay, since the last time we were together, I got a message from Rob Q, and he wanted to know what the unibassist's opinion was on the goings-on of the Thin Lizzy band. It is very obvious that Rob is a big Thin Lizzy fan, so he asked what he thought of Phil Lynott and his bass playing, his singing, and then he also wanted to know, out of the list of guitar players, which was our favorite duo combo. So we're going to chat a little bit about that. There's only one way to start this out, and that is with a bomb.
Death to sobriety.
Plunk. All right, now we can start. And I know through the years, we've known each other a long time. We've played in bands for many, many years, on and off. But we've known each other a long time. And I know back in the day, I was always a big Thin Lizzy fan. And I think you were too, as well, if I am not mistaken.
Yes. I currently have all of their albums in my iTunes.
Nice. I'm not too familiar with like the first two. But then after that is when I got turned on to them, and I really liked them a lot. And it just so happens my wife's name is Rosalie. So if you are familiar, they do have a song called Rosalie. And I do like the song. And I knew the song way before I met my wife.
She unfortunately hates it. No, just kidding.
Damn it, turn that off. So I guess I will, at this time, pretty much turn it over to you, because this question was for you. I guess we'll go to the first part. What do you think of old Phil?
As far as vocals go, if you've ever tried to play Jailbreak and sing it at the same time, you'll understand that guy was, if he wasn't talented, he at least had great timing. He had a distinctive voice. He could sing. I mean, he did some ballads. They showed that he could sing. Singing and playing at the same time, though, good job. That man was just good at doing that. As far as a bass player, he stayed a little more onto the funky side, and he was one of the few that liked to play his bass chest high, which, if you watch anything that's in the rock or the metal, they like to sling them low.
Yeah, yep.
Most of them.
Corn.
Yeah. Oh, geez. The ones that have them hanging on their knees and they have to bend over to play them.
Even the new dude from Metallica, he has his bouncing off the floor.
Oh, geez. Phil liked to play it chest high. He was funky, bluesy. I don't know if that had anything to do with his race. Not familiar with what he came up on or what it was that he started out emulating. The style of writing, though, was, I think, one of the things that started Aerosmith on their kind of journey, that bluesy rock kind of stuff. They started a lot, though, at the same time.
Yeah.
Even though they were an ocean apart, they were still basically the same time.
Well, now, and now, me being a light man, I just listened a lot. I enjoy music, and I was, timing's all, about running lights. If you're running lights with not a computer program, or if you're actually back in the day when you're doing it, you followed the percussion system, the bass player and the drummer. That was
rhythm section.
They were your boys, And so for someone who was playing the bass and singing, he wasn't really, I mean, he wasn't like outrageous, but he wasn't playing easy, simple bass lines and bass riffs. So, like you said, for him to be actually playing and singing and carrying, you know, being the front man, it was a lot of stuff on his shoulders, and he did it well. I think he pulled it off real well.
If he'd have survived past what 84, 85 or whatever, I would have.
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, I think it was 1984 when he passed. I think.
I'd like to see what they would have come up with, because they had, at that point, they had newer guitar players, so they've had newer ideas. But to address part of the question earlier on, the duo that did it, I think, is Scott Gorham, Brian Robertson.
And I will have to agree with that. I definitely agree. Brian
Robertson was in and out of the band a couple times, but that just goes to show you that's where the magic was.
They brought him back for a reason.
That was the chemistry. He was out. Brian Moore stepped in.
Very shortly.
Yeah. Brian Moore was, I guess, the guy that replaced him every time he walked out, or they threw him out. I'm not quite sure how they all went, but Brian Moore seemed to replace him, and then
Gary
Moore would replace him, and Robertson would come back, and it's that same like with Aerosmith when their lead guitarist left.
Yeah.
They did what, one album, maybe two albums without him, and then he came back because they understood he's the catalyst.
It's not. It's there, but it's not. It's not the same. It's not. Yeah.
It's a different type of thing. So, what really made Thin Lizzy would be the Gorham Robertson combination.
I agree. When I first started listening to them, and then when I first heard them, and then I started to listen to them, I was just like, what? Oh my! I mean, the way they would throw the leads back and forth. One would start, and then boom, back over to the other guy, and they had just enough difference in sound where you could tell they were throwing it back and forth. And then when they would back and forth, and then boom, double at the same time, and it was just like, oh my God, it was unbelievable. And I don't think anybody after that, even the guys that, all the other guys that came in. Yeah, I'm not saying they weren't good guitar players, but the way that those two played together and off of each other, I don't think it was duplicated in Thin Lizzy after that.
No, I think that was what probably spawned. They were an English band, so that kind of, they were from that continent, so that kind of helped. Like Maiden. Maiden's recipe was more or less the same thing, maybe a little heavier.
Yep.
But they had twin leads. And they weren't just sharing the leads; they were twinning the lead.
Right.
Priest got on that a little bit.
KK and
more up to date stuff. I've seen Avenged Sevenfold had done it once or twice.
Yeah, true.
Nobody's ever like as far as what Thin Lizzy did. But everybody takes a shot at it.
Yeah.
It seems any band that has dual lead guitarists have taken a shot at it. Those who do it repeatedly probably liked it and said, yeah, this will work. Those who've done it maybe once or twice, oh, that's a little too much work.
Yeah, a little bit rough.
Yeah, I don't know what those guys were doing, but we ain't doing it.
Right.
Done,
I mean, yeah, you have lots of people that have, the guitar. Well, we'll use AC/DC example where Malcolm just stood in the back and he played rhythms. Let his brother go out there and jump around and bang his head and play all the leads. And you have other bands that have guitar players that, they'll play leads, but they won't pass them back and forth. It's like, this one's yours, next song's mine, or, you have the first lead and then in the second verse or whatever, I'll do the lead or whatever, but they don't throw them back and forth and then come together like those guys did. And you can't say that they had the same style or the same sound. They both had different, but just the way they worked together was, I don't know, it's unmatched to me. I think they were awesome.
Yeah, that's hard to, in a lot of stuff, to beat the original is really hard. There are times where the sequel or The 2.0 version does top it off. You know, does better than the first. But a lot of the times it's really hard to beat the original. And Thin Lizzy was the first that I can remember doing that. I'm sure other people have done it.
Right.
But it wasn't
in our time period,
yeah,
in our era, yeah.
It wasn't, yeah.
In the genre of music we listened to and all that, yeah. I agree. Thin Lizzy was the first ones that really got me to go, and drop my jaw and go, whoa, these two dudes are awesome. And then afterwards, like I said, what was around, I noticed the change, and I wasn't really paying attention back then about what was going on, you know, with guitar players going and coming and going. I just noticed around the Black Rose album that things changed. The sound changed, the writing style changed, and it got a little bit, I don't want to say off track, but it was different. I still liked it. I mean, I liked the album. I enjoyed it. And then after that, it kind of swung back the other way again. But, and I guess looking at things, that's kind of when things started changing up and guitar players were coming and going. And so I guess that influenced it a little bit.
You can see, like, every generation has its one live album that everybody has to get. The one before us, Frampton Comes Alive, was...
Oh, yeah.
That was the one, like, my older brother would have, or you know, the next grades up would have. Who didn't have Live and Dangerous?
Right.
And it still kills me to this day when I hear Phil Lynott introduce bluesy Huey Lewis. And it's like, what? The guy from the news?
Yeah.
He was playing harmonica for you guys? Wow.
Crazy.
That just... So how much of a lesson did Huey Lewis learn?
Too.
This is where you learn the skill. When you sell it, you join a band called The News and sell it.
But I mean, and Thin Lizzy's just one of those bands that are, well, our good friend Turtle, that's not his real name, but everybody calls him Turtle. He is probably the biggest Thin Lizzy fan that I know. I mean, if you say, what is your favorite as soon as you say he says Thin Lizzy. I mean, you don't have to get it out. He loves them guys. And, you know, he's our age, a little bit older than us. But, you know, he carries his little tablet around or, you know, his iPad and, hey, play some music. Thin Lizzy's on every he has them all on there, man. And he just loves them to death.
I did like the changes they were making when Snowy White got on board.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say.
The Renegade and Chinatown.
They played a lot of it wasn't just like, boom, you know. They did different things, different styles. You know,
they got
rocky,
that keyboard
bluesy
player too.
Yeah, and then you got, I guess, because Phil was, he was what, Irish, wasn't he, from like Dublin or something like that? I
believe, yeah.
So he had that influence, and then you got the rocking guys. I don't know where everybody was from, but I mean, you know, they had that rocky thing, and then, you know, the cowboy song, I am just a cowboy, you know, real slow, and the ballads, the Ballad of Black Rose. And there was some, I guess it was like almost massacre songs like that were, you know, they were deep. They were about things other than, you know, the normal rocky stuff, chicks and cars and partying all night. And, you know, the ballads and the rocky stuff, the hard stuff, and, you know, Chinatown. And I mean, they just played, it was so versatile. It wasn't just like a boom, you know, like most bands. Like, again, I'll go back to AC/DC. AC/DC, let's see, learn 3 chords and you can play every AC/DC song there was. It's all pretty much, and it's the same. But they kind of went all different ways, and it still worked. It kept me, which is hard to do.
Yeah, AC/DC's recipe was more or less, they wrote songs with the intent of playing them live.
Right.
Everything they wrote, they intended to play live, and you can tell it has that power to it. When Kiss came out with Kiss Alive, they came out with that because they were having a hard time attracting a crowd, and they understood when you see us live, it's a different experience than what you do when you spin the vinyl. So they put out the live album so that energy would transfer, and it worked.
Right.
There was a lot of people who, after Kiss Alive came out, they were really into it. I remember hearing Jailbreak, and the person who played it for me played it off the live album. And I think that was one of the first live albums I actually heard. And when you hear Jailbreak and then you hear the studio version of it, and the live version is much more powerful, even the effects are there, the little siren they had go off and all that stuff. Back in the day, that was like, wow, they had all of that. Now it's like, yeah, well, the guy has a laptop next to him, he pushes a button, and all your sound effects are there.
Exactly.
Yeah, this guy's playing to a click track, so it's on time, and so on and so forth. But back then, the effect was there, and it wasn't necessarily unheard of, but it was rare enough that people were like, wow, that's pretty fucking cool, man.
And you were playing with your guitar and your amp, and maybe
at maximum decibel.
Maybe a wah pedal and a distortion, or a gain pedal. They didn't have all this crap that these guys got now, that you plug your pedal into your guitar and plug it into your computer and pick whatever amp modeling and everything else and do all that. No, it was whatever guitar you plugged into your amp and the one pedal or two pedals you had on the ground. Yeah. And if you couldn't make it happen, then you couldn't. And that's why these guys, for those two to play as well together as they did, again, not taking anything away from the other guys that came in, but Robertson and Gorham, whatever his name.
Scott Gorham
were my two favorites.
They were the catalyst that made Thin Lizzy what it was. Gary Moore pisses me off. I saw what he tried to do to Motorhead, Gary. Oh well, he's passed. So
yeah, he died in 2011.
But yeah, I saw what you tried to do to Motorhead, and screw you. That's the only thing that really bugs me about him. After we saw him, Mr. The Great Blind Views, and I saw Gary Moore live with Def Leppard and Crocus at City Island. Yeah. And he had Ian Pace playing drums. I think Roger Glover was his bass player.
I believe it was.
It was, and it was almost like a Purple reunion. Not quite sure who the keyboard player was. I'm not gonna say it was Ian Lord. That's like too easy. But he had like a quintet going up there. I think he had another guitar. Did he have another guitar player?
There was somebody else. I don't remember who it was. It was old age Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Too much Jaeger. I forget. I don't know.
But he did some stuff that was pretty scorching, and then we never heard from him again. And like I said, then he came out on that Motorhead album, Another Perfect Day, and the silk shorts and the mesh shirt.
Yeah.
Google image Gary Moore with Motorhead or with Lemmy. You can't find pictures.
No.
They're hiding that like the weird uncle, at the family reunion. You have a hard time finding that kind of stuff. So I kind of have the impression that Gary Moore was trying something different, and who better to inflict it on than Motorhead?
Because this is a guy who played with B.B. King and Pink Floyd and stuff like that. And so that Motorhead is like way out of his realm. He was a bluesy dude, but yeah, I mean he was good in his own right. But as far as the duo thing, yeah, It makes me think of the one guitar player from Killswitch Engage, who wears the little shorty shorts. Yeah.
The one that Slayer kicked off because that's not metal.
That's not metal.
I was like, wow. How would you feel if you're like, hey, Motorhead is opening for us, and then you see Gary Moore, and it's like, what the hell is this? What happened to the leather jacket and the bullet belt they gave you?
A mesh belly shirt and shorts.
Oh, God.
But back to that live statement you made about bands actually writing music to play live. I watch that thing it's here on YouTube. It's The Sixth Sense with Nikki Sixx. He has a YouTube channel, and he talks about it in a couple of his little videos he make about how they get down and sit down and write these songs, and then all of a sudden it's like time to go play live. And he's like, how in the hell are we going to do this? Because they wrote this crap with loops and the vocals are, they're singing over top of their own vocals to make it thicker, and Mick's playing 3 different guitar lines over top of one another, and now they have to go out and play it live, and people are going to go, it's not the way the song goes.
Then you see people like the Royal Bloods.
Yeah.
And it's just a bass player and a drummer. And it's like, how do you feature these guys? They are going to always be an opening act. It's like, okay, the Royal Bloods and the White Stripes.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's going to be a couples night here at the...
That was funny. I was just watching White Stripes today. The old sister sitting there...
That's funny, too, because I heard she was a girlfriend, a wife, a sister.
It's the sister.
That's way too ambiguous.
Yeah, but oh my goodness, she keeps good time, but you could train a monkey to do what she does.
Yeah.
Poof.
Hit the drum with authority, and here's your banana.
Yep. Let Big Brother do all the fun stuff. He'll
Jaeger's
sing.
Kicking in.
Yeah. Big Brother will sing and put all kind of wild effects on his guitar and carry the load.
So I hope that answers your question, Rob.
Yes, Rob, we appreciate your question. Please comment below. Any of you Thin Lizzy heads out there, you want to leave your impressions, thoughts? Who's your favorite duo? And don't forget to say why. So, with that, I'll say this. You saw our friend left us a suggestion. We did answer it. We heard you. See, we pay attention. Even if we do have Jaeger bombs, we can still read. So don't be afraid to send your suggestions our way, and we will do our best to get back to you and answer your questions. And at this time, I want to thank the Unibassist for stopping by to answer the question that was sent.
You are welcome.
And say it with me, as always, thanks for watching. This is Blind Views, and
that's the way
I see it.
Or you see it.
That's the way somebody sees it.
What we do here is go back.